Epictetus' Stoic Secret. How to react, not worry. The passenger in your own life. If you feel it, don't you? That low-grade, constant hum of anxiety that runs beneath every text message, every meeting, every quiet moment alone. It's the feeling of being a passenger in your own life, strapped into a car driven by a chaotic, invisible force. You're constantly bracing for impact, trying to white-knuckle the steering wheel from the back seat. You've been told to let go, to be present, to stop worrying. But those phrases are useless. They're cheap, disposable advice. They don't address the fundamental, terrifying truth. You are not in control. You spend your energy trying to manage the unmanageable. The economy, your boss's mood, the traffic, what that person on social media thinks of you, the inevitable decline of your own body. You are a CEO of a company where 99% of the employees are actively working against you, and you call this living. This isn't just about stress. This is about a profound, almost spiritual exhaustion. It's the exhaustion of fighting a war you cannot win against an enemy that is everywhere and nowhere. But what if the secret to peace wasn't in gaining control, but in a radical, almost violent act of surrender? What if the key to reacting correctly, to not worrying, was to finally, brutally, and honestly see the world as it is? This is the secret of Epictetus, the former slave who became one of the world's most powerful philosophers. It's a secret so simple, so obvious that your mind will fight it the moment you hear it. The brutal simplicity, the dichotomy of control. Epictetus called it the dichotomy of control. He said, some things are up to us and some things are not up to us. It sounds like a platitude, but it is the most revolutionary idea you will ever encounter. It is a surgical blade that cuts the universe in two. In the up to us column, your judgments, your opinions, your desires, your aversions, and your actions. In short, your will, the inner workings of your mind. In the not up to us column, your body, your property, your reputation, your social status, the outcome of your efforts, and everything that happens outside of your own will. In short, everything else. The moment you truly internalize this, the world snaps into focus. Think of the archer. The archer controls the training, the drawing of the bow, the release of the arrow. That is the up to us column, the effort, the process, the intention. But the archer does not control the wind, the sudden flight of a bird, the wobble of the target, or the final score. That is the not up to us column, the outcome. You have been living your life as if you could control the wind. You have been judging your worth by the final score, which is a metric you do not own. Epictetus says, if you treat only what is truly yours as yours, then no one will ever compel you or restrain you. The problem is we don't want to admit how small our kingdom is. We want to be the king of everything. And that desire is the source of all our suffering. Plato's cave, the illusion of external control. Why do we resist this simple truth? Because we are living in Plato's cave. Imagine you are chained in a cave, watching shadows dance on the wall. These shadows are your reputation, your bank account, your physical appearance, the approval of others. You spend your entire life analyzing, chasing, and fearing these shadows, believing they are the ultimate reality. The moment Epictetus's philosophy is introduced, it's like being dragged out of the cave and into the blinding sunlight. The truth is painful. The things you worry about most are just shadows. They are projections of external forces, and you have no ultimate control over them. Your reputation is what other people think of you. It is their judgment, not yours. Your body is a biological machine, subject to entropy and chance. Your job is a contract that can be terminated by a decision made in a boardroom you've never seen. The fear you feel is the fear of the light, the fear of admitting that the grand, elaborate reality you've constructed for yourself is built on sand. The fear of seeing that your entire self-worth is tied to things that are, by definition, not your own. The uncomfortable truth is that we prefer the shadows. We prefer the illusion of control because it gives us a target for our anxiety. If we can just worry harder, if we can just plan more, maybe we can force the shadows to dance the way we want. The false comfort of worry and Bonhoeffer's cost worry is not a form of preparation. It is a form of cheap control. It is a mental ritual that tricks you into feeling productive. You think, I'm worried about my finances, therefore I'm a responsible person. You think, I'm worried about my child's future, therefore I'm a good parent. But the philosopher Dietrich Bonhoeffer, writing from a Nazi prison cell, spoke of the difference between cheap grace and costly grace. We can apply this to control. Cheap control is worry. It costs you nothing but your peace of mind. It's a mental shrug that says, I've acknowledged the problem. Now I can feel morally superior without actually doing the hard work. It's a substitute for action. Costly control is the true Stoic path. It costs you your ego, your illusions, and your comfort. It demands that you stop worrying about the outcome and focus only on the quality of your effort, your intention, and your character. The cost of true control is the confrontation with reality. It means accepting that you can work 80 hours a week and the company can still fail. You can eat perfectly and still get sick. You can be the kindest person in the world and still be betrayed. The moment you stop worrying about the outcome, you free up all the energy you are wasting on cheap control and redirect it into costly, meaningful action. Machiavelli's pragmatism, Virtue and Fortuna. This isn't about passive resignation. This is about a radical, pragmatic shift in strategy. Niccolo Machiavelli, the ultimate realist, understood this division perfectly, though he used different terms, Virtue and Fortuna. Fortuna is the river of fate, the unpredictable, chaotic external forces of the world. It is the not up to us column. Machiavelli famously said that Fortuna controls half of our actions. Virtue is the skill, the will, the energy, and the courage of the individual. It is the up to us column. It is the dam you build to channel the river of Fortuna, to mitigate its damage, and to exploit its power. A weak person, one who lives in the shadows of Plato's cave, lets the river of Fortuna wash over them. They are a victim of circumstance. A Stoic, a person of virtue, understands that they cannot stop the river, but they can choose where to build their dam. They can choose their reaction. They can choose their effort. They can choose their character. The secret is to stop praying for a calm river and start focusing on the strength of your own dam. The Stoic doesn't ask, why did this happen to me? They ask, given that this has happened, what is the most excellent way for me to respond? This is the shift from a victim mentality to a warrior mentality. The warrior doesn't control the battlefield, but they control their sword, their shield, and their courage. The power of the inner citadel, the judgment. Epictetus' most powerful insight is that the only thing that can truly harm you is your judgment about the event, not the event itself. A sudden downpour is not a bad event. It is simply a downpour. Your judgment, this is inconvenient, this will ruin my day, this is unfair, is what creates the suffering. The Stoics called this your inner citadel. It is the fortress of your mind, and it is impenetrable. No external force, not poverty, not illness, not insult, can breach it, unless you open the gates and invite them in. When an external event occurs, you have a split-second, a micro-moment of freedom to decide how to label it. This is the moment of true power. External event. Your colleague insults you. Worry passenger reaction. I am a failure. They hate me. My career is over. Stoic driver reaction. That is their opinion, which is not up to me. My response is up to me. This is the secret to reacting, not worrying. Worry is the preemptive surrender of the citadel. Reaction is the conscious, disciplined defense of it. Nietzsche's Amor Fati. Now we introduce the ultimate, most uncomfortable truth, one that takes the Stoic idea of acceptance and turns it into a formula for greatness. Amor Fati, the love of fate. Nietzsche, the philosopher of the will, took the Stoic concept of acceptance and radicalized it. He said, my formula for greatness in a human being is Amor Fati, that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity. This is not just accepting what happens, it is loving what happens. Think about the worst thing that has ever happened to you. The failure, the heartbreak, the betrayal. The Stoic accepts it as a necessary consequence of the chaotic world. But the person of Amor Fati looks at that event and says, I would not have it any other way. Why? Because that event, that suffering, that failure, is a necessary ingredient in the person you are today. Without the dark, the light has no meaning. Without the struggle, the strength is unearned. This is the ultimate twist. The things you desperately wish hadn't happened are the very things that forged your verdict. To wish them away is to wish away your own character. The practical application. The morning meditation. How do you put this into practice? You start with a simple, brutal morning meditation. Before you check your phone, before you engage with the world, sit down and perform the premeditation of evils, or premeditatio malorum. You don't visualize success. You visualize failure. You list the things that are not up to you that could go wrong today. My flight could be delayed. My colleague could be rude. My investment could drop. I could get sick. And for each one, you ask the Stoic question. If this happens, what is the one thing that remains up to me? The answer is always the same. My response. My judgment. My character. This is not pessimism. It is mental inoculation. You are draining the emotional charge from the external events before they even occur. You are preparing your inner citadel for the inevitable siege of fortuna. When the bad thing happens, it is no longer a shock. It is a familiar scenario, a drill you have already run in your mind. You have already chosen your reaction. You have already won the battle in the only place it truly matters, inside your own head. The uncomfortable freedom, the cost of true self-possession. The greatest obstacle to this freedom is not the world, but your own ego. Your ego loves the idea of being a victim. It loves the drama of being wronged, because it absolves you of responsibility. If the world is to blame, You don't have to change. But Epictetus' secret is a call to radical self-possession. It says, "You are the sole author of your inner life." This is a terrifying freedom. It means that your unhappiness is not caused by your circumstances, but by your choice to label those circumstances as bad. This is the ultimate uncomfortable truth. You are choosing your suffering. The moment you accept the dichotomy of control, you can no longer blame traffic for your anger, or your boss for your stress, or your past for your present. You must look in the mirror and say, "The only thing I control is my reaction to all of this, and I have been reacting poorly." This is the moment the passenger becomes the driver. Not the driver of the world, but the driver of the only thing that truly matters, yourself. The final test, the end of worry is not a state of blissful ignorance. It is a state of disciplined attention. It is the quiet confidence of the warrior who knows their own strength. They don't worry about the battle. They focus on the next swing of the sword. Worry is a distraction from the present moment, a mental time travel to a future you cannot control. The Stoic lives entirely in the present, because the present is the only place where the up to us column exists. The next time you feel that familiar knot of anxiety, stop. Don't try to solve the problem. Don't try to rationalize the fear. Just ask yourself one question, the only question that matters. Is this up to me? If the answer is no, you have your marching orders. Let it go. Not with a sigh of resignation, but with a roar of liberation. You have just reclaimed the energy you were wasting on a ghost. If the answer is yes, you have your marching orders. Act. Not with worry, but with vertic. With excellence, courage, and full attention. The lingering idea. The unconquerable self, Epictetus, the slave, found a freedom that no emperor could take away. He found the unconquerable self. He didn't teach you how to avoid pain, but how to ensure that the pain of the world never touches the core of who you are. The world will always be chaotic. Fortuna will always rage. The shadows in the cave will always dance. But you, standing in the sunlight, having chosen your reaction, having loved your fate, are no longer a passenger. You are the inner citadel. You are the archer. You are the driver. And the only thing you have to worry about is whether you will choose to be the most excellent version of yourself right now, in this moment. Everything else is just noise. The secret is not how to stop worrying. The secret is realizing that worry is a choice you no longer have to make.